So this video is basically going to be a behind the scenes episode where I'm going to get into a lot of the questions that people have asked me over the course of like the last 2 years of working on Shadow of Israphel. I mostly just wanted to give this as like a, hey, this is how we do things behind the scenes, and just give any information to people who would like to know. For those of you that don't know, basically the timeline of me working on this entire fan series was we made the revival special in 2023. I wrote that whole thing by myself, and then we filmed it with a bunch of people from a Discord. After the revival special, I moved on and started working on Sons of Israphel and the fan series that came after. We didn't start filming for another like year and a half though. We worked for like a full year, and then we finally started filming in November of 2024. So also at the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about a hiatus that we're gonna have. The series is not ending. We are having a planned hiatus during the month of June where there's gonna be no new episodes of Sons of Israphel. Sons of Israphel is going to come back, and in the meantime, there's going to be some extra stuff, so stay tuned. So moving on, most of these questions are things that people have sent in to me recently. I did a post the other day asking everyone who's subscribed, hey, can you just send me stuff, and I will answer whatever questions you have about how we make Sons of Israphel. The first question from Dincorda is, how many people are writing the story? Primarily, it's me. I'm the person that comes up with pretty much the whole story as far as like what each arc is going to be. I have other people that I go to for help as far as like when I'm getting writer's block or something like that, or I'm like, I am not enthusiastic about this next section. The main person other than me who works on the project over the last 2 years since the revival special has been Corrupt Dalek, or Corrupt Tyrant, as he also goes by. Me, Corrupt Dalek, Plums, Digital Dare, A Reddish Fox, Payek, Jason, Bobo, Touch the Garlic, Poetic Rainbow. There's a bunch of people that will help me work on this project. They're in the credits, and I'm so sorry if I missed anyone, but there's a lot of people that help me and give suggestions. Dincorda also asks, how far ahead have you mapped out the story, and how close to filming do you detail the script? The whole series has been pretty much outlined for about a year and a half now. I mean, it pretty much was once we finished the revival special. I mean, I mapped out every arc I wanted to do, and we've pretty much stuck to that up to this point, and even into the future. Like right now, it's all on track to be the same as it was a year and a half ago in 2023 when I started planning this. How close to filming do I detail the script? It's pretty much that week that I come up with lines of dialogue. We get the story figured out, we get the plot, like we know the events and where we're supposed to go, but when it comes to getting the lines of dialogue that the actors are copying and pasting, like I don't do that until the week of. I pretty much tell Dalek, I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna be on the world, peace out. You go do your detail work and any like fine tuning things that you care about. I'm gonna focus on making sure that the story and film days are cohesive so that our actors and everyone understands what's going on and nobody gets confused when they're playing a character. How much do Noah and Chris know about the events that happen? Pretty much everything from Chris is a genuine reaction, at least once. Sometimes we've done do-overs. An example being, spoiler alert, just freaking click off here at this point, the Kraken fight. Like, we had to reshoot the Kraken fight, but I used the audio from the first time he saw it because he gave a lot of like genuine reactions. Pretty much everything that he does, he doesn't know the story. He doesn't know really any of the big twists. Like sometimes I'll tell him, hey, we're going to this location. On occasion, I will go to him and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this happening or something like that. But most of it, he's got no idea. Like when he meets a character, he's meeting that character for the first time. There's a few select scenarios where he knows something, like he knows a character from my D&D world that I've put in there, because I run Dungeons and Dragons for Chris. So he knows a few people, but they're always slightly different when I put them in SOI. If I do, it's not because I'm trying to shove my own crap in there and be like, hey, look at all my D&D stuff. Sunny Pop Feline asks, how did you start this project? So I kind of went into it, but I can go into a little more detail. Like in 2020, so COVID hit and everyone's on their computers 10 times more. I went into my nostalgia trip then. I started looking up SOI videos and like checking to see like, hey, have they made anything? Has there been any new leaks? Has there been anything? I was seeing a lot of fan projects and I was kind of regularly disappointed by a lot of them. Not because of story, like some of them have had amazing concepts, and I do videos for a living in real life. I'm a video editor, so like one of the things that I got really excited about was like, okay, maybe I could do that. So in 2021, I went fully self-employed, which was terrifying, and it was kind of sitting in my head for about a year. I started working on the world by myself, and then eventually I joined the Shadow of Israphel map project Discord server. It was just filled with people who loved SOI, and to this day I can't find any other communities like that. And all these people were able to give me input on lore. I came with questions about the SOI world, and I got a lot of answers, and I learned a lot. And some of the people that gave me most of my answers back then are the people that are helping produce this now. So like I made friends that I just wasn't expecting at all. So yeah, I started getting help on that Discord server, and originally I was just gonna have my friends help out, like my IRL friends help out. But in the end, most of the people that actually were playing characters in the Revival Special were people from the SOI Discord. It was SOI fans, so it felt so, no offense to my IRL friends, but like it felt so much better to have it be SOI fans that were helping make this thing. So yeah, there was a lot of time that I put into it by myself before anyone else really got brought in. I knew I wanted to make an ending to Shadow of Israphel where you'd see the wall and it would be overgrown. And that's the first shot of the Revival Special, is the overgrown wall. Originally my concept was just me filming by myself because I didn't think I'd have any other friends that were interested in this. Chris and I had been hanging out for years, and I loved hanging out with Chris. But then I had the thought occurred to me, I'm like, you know, Chris would actually be an amazing friend to do this with. That would actually make it feel way more like SOI too. That led to me being like, hey Chris, do you want to do this with me? The Revival Special, originally the concept was like, oh, it would be me and Chris showing up and we see the overgrown wall after maybe a survival series. And then I decided, I'm like, no, you know what? I'm just gonna do one video. I'm gonna call it Shadow of Israphel something. I wanted it to be one special, one ending, and that was it. The Revival Special was actually kind of inspired by the ending of the Adventure Time series. So if you don't want spoilers for that series, just skip ahead a few seconds. It's basically a character 1,000 years in the future recapping the events of the original series and its ending. So I was like, you know what, that'd be really cool if we went around to the original characters of the SOI series, like the main ones, like Spacker, Lysander, and Isabel, and asked them hey, what happened? And we learned this story piece by piece. I made a little checklist of things that I'm like, okay, these are the things that I think all the SOI fans expect. Because no matter what, I knew that whatever I did, people were going to be surprised by something. So at the very least, I could give them the things they were expecting so they could be pleasantly surprised by the things they weren't. So that's just kind of my take with that. That's my long-winded answer for how did you start this project. The Legend Master asked, do you know if any of the Yogscast are aware of the series? It's pretty hype, gang. Yes, yes, Lewis is aware that there is something. I don't know if he's watched it. He responded to an email that I sent a long time ago. I will include this here. So I sent it to him. I sent him some screenshots of some of the events that we did with everyone in skins and gathered together. At one point we had 17 people online, so it was a really cool big photo. Also, I do know that Boba, to some degree, is aware that this project exists. Again, I don't know that they even know the name of it. I have no idea to what degree the Yogscast knows. I don't know that they've ever heard the term Sons of Israphel before or Revival Special. I did, so before I made the series, I reached out to the Yogscast contact support and asked them hey, what's your rules on sort of people using the intellectual properties from Shadow of Israphel? I got a response and they said that it was okay so long as we're not doing monetization. Sunny Pop Feline also asks, how many skins were made for the series and made by who? I could not tell you how many skins have been made for this project, both ones that we haven't used and ones that have been tweaked, and we constantly are working on stuff. The primary person who does stuff for us, it's not even me. I am the manager for it, but the person who gives most of the life to the skins is Roast Pork, who's in our Discord server. Basically, I'll message Roast Pork and be like, hey, we're doing this, we need a character that has this, this, and this is the context, and then Roast will send me back multiple skins, and I'll be like, that one. Primarily myself and Roast Pork. Next question that I get asked all the time is, how do you get access to the custom usernames from the old series? Surprisingly enough, there's not any plugins out there that I know of for a Minecraft server where you can take a username, or you can add a custom username and then use a custom URL to like make a character skin. So like all of our skins we have on the website Imager or Imgur, however you want to say it. I put all the skins on there and then I copy the link to each one, and when we create a character, it's grabbing skins from that database and like making them. So we have two plugins. We have something called a Heyo Nick, which does the nicknames and does the chat. And then we have something called Skin Restorer, which grabs from the custom URL. You have to disconnect for it to work, but that's pretty much how we do that. And then the third thing that I do is I have a friend who wrote me a plugin that combines the two. Did you make the textures in the series like the baguette? And if so, how? Okay, so a lot of them, there's a surprising amount that we use that are just from the original series. There's leaked texture packs that we have that we just grab stuff and then like added them in. I'll do a behind the scenes video that explains the textures more so. Primarily, I get help from a guy named Poetic Rainbow, who's got a YouTube channel, and he does a lot of stuff that's really cool, like making Minecraft look old. So go check that out. He recommended to me a website called Doku Stash, which I'm gonna butcher this. Gerudoku is the texture pack that they use in original SOI, which I think is like a spin-off of a texture pack called Doku Craft. So Doku Stash, the website, just has a bunch of different assets that I just sort of snag from and adjust as needed. But overall, it makes it feel like there's sort of a concise feeling. Platmorpher asks, who is your favorite character from the original series? I don't know. I think Lysander might have been my favorite character back then. I mean, I enjoyed Peculiar, like you can't not enjoy Peculiar, but like, I don't know. I think I just loved his arc was really interesting to me of like him being a character that was evil, because like that like shook me as a 12-year-old or 11-year-old or however old I was when I watched that. Expedus asks, of the new characters you've created in the SOI world, who is your favorite and why? So this is the new characters. Honest answer is Buggy Frogbottom. I don't know why. I just freaking love frog characters. I think they're hilarious. The name Buggy was my wife's D&D character name she had a little owl that was named Buggy, and when I was coming up with this character that was gonna be a pirate at Barbecue Bay, I was like, I kind of want something silly, and I just kept coming back to Buggy, and I was like, okay, we're going with that. When we actually filmed that first episode, when we filmed the revival special, Corrupt Dalek, who's now my main like assistant writer, he told me that when I cast him as Buggy Frogbottom the day of the revival special, he was like almost annoyed with me. Noah, you're making me play the joke character. But then as the recording session started going on, as the script continued, Dalek started to realize the significance of Buggy being the character that leads us through everything. Yeah, Buggy Frogbottom is my favorite. Another question, will there ever be mods in the series? It's not from anyone specific, but I get this question constantly from people that are helping on the project. There will be mods in the series at some point, but the primary reason that I don't use them, I never know who's gonna show up to a recording session, and I sure as heck am not gonna spend half an hour trying to get someone who's just showing up to get all the mods and stuff like that. Because I put the events in the Discord, and then I'm like, hey everyone, we're recording this day, I need actors. But at the time of the revival special, heck no, I wasn't gonna use mods, because it's like, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know if anyone was gonna show up. Yeah, eventually there will be mods. I've got some mods in mind, and I'll do a behind the scenes video that explains how we do data packs. How do Chris and I know each other? Chris and I met in college. 2019, I was a year older in school, and then he had just arrived at the college, and he was in his dorm room, and someone asked him if he wanted to go to a barbecue, and in his words that he said to me, he said, something in his gut just told him he needed to go. And within an hour, he and I were meeting for the first time, chatting about D&D and how he's never played before and would love to. So that was the first time that Chris and I ever met, and is a very wholesome memory to me, as he is a good friend. Kyler King asks, did you guys manage to get some kind of download to the original series locations or build them all yourselves? To answer that question, I'm going to explain the SOI map project. Back in the days where SOI was still going on, there was a recreation project that was going on by a guy named Ekoro. That project got handed off to a guy named Alcius, who founded our Discord server. So that team is the one that made the map recreation. The recreation is kind of no longer going on. Our Discord kind of just turned into an SOI fan Discord. They did some stuff for Yog Labs. People have shared their random projects of stuff to do with like Sentinel model recreations and people redoing animations and fan endings and all that stuff. So please go to the Discord if you're not already in there, because like I feel like if you are subscribed to my channel and you're someone who likes Shadow of Israphel, dude, you just gotta get in the Discord. There's so much, like, you can just do deep dives through old conversations. If there's a topic that you're curious about of anything to do with SOI, it's pretty much been covered. From, like, the most obscure thing that I can think of is, like, some of the music that gets played in, like, Professor Griswold videos. Like, we have people that have scoured and found those links. And there's also a lot of things that are yet to be found. So please come to the Discord because there's a lot of cool people there. Also, I should mention, the Discord is not dedicated to my project, though my project is like one of the probably the biggest thing that's currently going on. It's just an SOI fan Discord. So like, just join it and share your own projects, do stuff, have conversations, do whatever. Speedy Springtrap asks, what guidelines do you have to make sure you keep the soul of SOI and what made it special? I think it's a buddy cop story. I think it would be different even if we added in a third person, to be honest. Like, I think there's something really special about two people. And sure, there's some parts of it that are like just really coincidental, like the fact that I'm the person that manages more and Chris is just kept in the dark. That's a huge aspect of it. That's not to like draw attention to me and Chris and be like, oh, what makes our stuff special? It's me and Chris. It's not that. Like, it could be anyone else, but I think it needs to be a buddy story. I think there's a lot of other personalities that could work in these two roles. As far as like builds go, it's pretty much constantly referring to the source material. Like, as we've worked on this over the last 2 years, we've started to realize there's a lot of things they did back in the day, maybe due to laziness, but like, we're trying to kind of replicate that. We are not trying to make it as if Shadow of Israphel never stopped. If we were trying to do that, we would have super modern builds. We'd have hyper detail. We'd have huge sets. We'd have tons of mods. We'd probably have a different texture pack, because if you actually look at the history, they were gonna switch over to Sphax. Like, if you watch the leaked footage of that Sentinel animation, it was using Sphax textures. They were gonna switch to that. So like, I'm not trying to make a continuation as if the Yogscast never stopped. Yes, we're using new blocks. No one's ever going to be perfectly satisfied with it. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with people about like how we can try and capture the feel of it. Because to be honest, guys, it's a super subjective thing to be like, what feels SOI? People asked me early on, they're like, why didn't you do this in beta? Because that's what they did. Or like, why didn't you do this in older versions of Minecraft? And it's like, well, if you actually watch the old series, one of the things that they did that made it feel like SOI is the new things that were added into Minecraft they implemented into the story. There were updates coming out at the time the series was being made. So if you watch the Revival Special, every single arc they go to, there's something unique that's from new Minecraft. When they go to the Skylords, I had them use the Elytra. When they go to the Dwarves, there's Skulk and the Warden. When they go to Barbecue Bay, I'm saying they, like it's not me and Chris, because to me it's just like two different people. When you go to Barbecue Bay, we're using tridents to jump around. I don't want to like shove it down people's throats, but like in the midst of the nostalgia, part of SOI was the new stuff that was being added. I'm trying to keep it old school with the occasional new thing. Were there any ideas, plot lines, stories, or characters, whatever, that you had to cut from the series? I should just do a deep dive at some point into some of my files and show you guys what I've got. We'll do that at some point. In the wedding, there was a scene that was cut. I'm gonna do a deleted scenes video at some point. It's not gonna be that entertaining because they were deleted for a reason. Deleted scenes it is a fully finished scene that was edited, whatever, but just didn't really fit. Are there ever multiple pathways the story can take? So for example, would you have been able to convince Jock Fireblast the Ghost to be good and help you? Okay, so no, generally speaking, it's like a one-track thing. I don't have, like, the script doesn't just split off. It's like one top to bottom thing where maybe you jump back up and down, but it's never going off in a different direction. The only time when there's ever multiple pathways is when we can do things in a non-linear order. So if you watch like the arc where we went to Naboria, the Oasis giant tree city, we had to get those ingredients. And actually in Cinderwell too, we could get the ingredients in whatever order we wanted. I give everyone like notes of like, you're gonna get question, like, here's your response if we give you this question, this question, this question. Another question, I noticed that there's a lot of OG SOI songs, but there's other music I do not recognize. Did you and the team make new music for the Shadow of Israphel fan series? I reached out to Daniel Yount, the guy who actually made the songs, because I didn't realize that he had like publicly posted that anyone can use his songs so long as you credit him. Kevin MacLeod, I got a lot of music from him. His music was used in a lot of SOI videos back in the day, so like if you hear some of them, you will recognize them as like, oh, that was in old Yogscast videos, maybe not SOI, but in Yogscast. And also I have a subscription for some of the video editing that I do for work called artlist.com, where occasionally if there's a song that I feel is really SOI. Daniel Yount also has a Dark Horizons pack that feels very SOI and has some SOI themes in some of those songs. Go listen to them. It's very good. It's on his Bandcamp, so go check that out. Ziga asks, do you plan to finish the story or keep it open-ended? I'm going to finish Sons of Israphel, even if it means we have to cut it early. What's going to happen if we have to cut it early is we're basically going to cut out everything but the final arc, and I'll do some juggling to make the narrative work. And again, everything is outlined, everything is planned. The series length, we're expecting to be somewhere in the ballpark of 70 to 80 episodes. Plasma asks, what do you plan on doing when the project is over? This is a very sad question for me because of how much time I've put into this in the last couple of years. This takes a lot of time, and I've definitely put in, there's been moments where I've put in more time than I should, because guys, there's still life. I mean, if you look at why the original series ended, from what I can gather, the series ended to burnout. There was just so many factors that went into it, and I get it, especially after working on this stuff now. Like, it is very taxing. Even if I was a company like the Yogscast, like, it would be very taxing on the people working on it. I'm pretty much always creating and doing stuff, so like I would love to do more after the series is done, but again, that might be more in the form of like anthology stuff, so like Legend of Varrigan, where we go back in time and it's like me and Chris doing an old story. Because if I get to the end of Sons of Israphel, like, I don't think I want to uproot whatever that ending is just for like a little special or a little series. Like, I want it to be the end of Sons of Israphel is the end of Sons of Israphel. Like, everything's going to be determined by life. I have a wife, I have a kid, I have responsibilities that I do need to tend to, which that's the most important thing to me. So with everything I do, I try to make it as efficient as possible, so that way we can all have a good experience and this series can end with something really cool and awesome. Neo Gear Buzzy asks, will the wizard get his harem? No. Would you consider delaying the ending if the series takes off? I've said to people before, if this ever quote unquote takes off, and by takes off, I literally just mean the numbers that we've been getting go up substantially, like, I expect that it would happen very quickly. Because we'd have a huge backlog of videos, I think at some point the algorithm might just pick it up and be like, okay, we're just gonna show it to these people. Basically, I kind of interpret that question slightly as like, would you drag it out? And the answer is no. Like, I wanna get to I'm desperate to get to the ending, not in a way of like, oh, because I want this to be over, but in the way of like, man, there's something so satisfying about like, that's the end. It's done. We have a full finished Shadow of Israphel like series that's complete and is as true to the original as we can do. Here's some of my final thoughts, guys. There's probably a lot more questions that people might have. Maybe we would do another one of these in the future. But I just wanted to explain basically why we're going on a hiatus for the next month. So expect June to have very infrequent videos. I don't know how many I'll get out. I've got a lot of footage that I have yet to edit that's just like fun, whatever, like behind the scenes stuff we've done. But yeah, just expect that until July, there's not going to be any regular episodes. We're taking this month off just because I've spent the last 27, 28 weeks uploading regularly. So I'm taking a bit of a break from that just so I don't get burnout, and also so that I can focus on like my real life, my family, as well as just making sure that the next arc is good, which also we are pretty much done building it. So one of the reasons we also had the hiatus is because we've technically already kind of taken it. So like us as the production team, like we took like a month-long break right after we finished filming the Tiki Isles. So in the time that the Tiki Isles videos have been coming out, like there hasn't really been anything going on. Now we're kind of in full throttle of prepping stuff this month. So you can expect in July we'll be back. So the hiatus is happening for you guys now, but it's already happened for us. So we'll be back soon. One of the reasons also with this is Chris was focusing on some stuff with work and life, so like I totally understood that. I didn't want to like burden him with that because he needed to be very much locked in for some of the stuff that he was doing. So yeah, expect this month to have some random fun videos, and expect a behind the scenes video sometime way down the road. I have no idea when I'll do it because there's just so much stuff that we would need to do for that. But anyway, I appreciate all of you. Continue watching the Yogscast. Get in the forums, gang. I don't have any karma on Reddit, so like anytime I post, I just sort of feel weird being like, hey everyone, look at my stuff. I never want to draw attention back to myself with this project. If we do anything, I want it to purely just be so that way we can all enjoy the fact that there's more SOI style stuff coming out. And yeah, so basically I guess I'm just saying like, there's a lot of us out there and I don't know how to get in contact with them. So I appreciate everyone for supporting this project. I said it at the start of the revival special. I'll say it now, like this whole thing is kind of surreal. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and I will catch you later.
There's a honeydew.
What?
I'm seeing something. Zephos. Simon and Lewis, I guess. They're walking down the thing that we were at in Cinderwell, the giant stairwell.
The what?